Hey, what's up, guys? Dane here. I just wanted to make this video on monetary debasement. Essentially, cover what it is, cover why it's an issue for society and for everyone who cares about their future or their children's future. So, I guess in simple terms, just to cover for those of you who don't know what monetary debasement is, it is essentially a way for a currency to lose its intrinsic value, typically through government intervention, because that's really how all of this originates, is the government fiddles around and they mess that up because there's short-term gains that can be had, but in the long term, it destroys the citizens' real value of their wealth. So in olden times, for instance, in the Roman Empire, their currency was debased by physically taking out the raw materials that were in the coins. So I believe it was silver. They would literally take that out and just remove it, and just like literally the gram amounts of silver would decrease in the coins, which is just, literally like crazy. So they're artificially inflating the price by physically removing it. But now we're at a point where it is much different, and we're not really here to talk about the past. So I guess I can describe exactly why this has happened in today's society. And I guess the simple answer would be money printing or quantitative easing. So essentially, this is a way to inject liquidity into the markets, and this essentially increases the money supply. So you have more money chasing the same amount of goods, which makes your wealth worth less to purchase these goods. And this money goes to the asset holders, so to major institutions, major companies, investors who get this money, and it erodes the wealth of the average American or person in the world. And most of you know this. Most of you know about this. This is definitely the main way. Ever since the Great Recession, this really picked up steam, and then COVID, and now we've seen a slight drop off. But this is resuming. This isn't going away. And one of the reasons for that is because the government also, essentially another way that the money supply increases is through loans given by the government, and lowering interest rates, which decreases the cost of borrowing and makes the government lend more money, circulating more money into the economy, and stimulating growth, which also increases liquidity. I just wanted to put this add-in on here after I made that video. But essentially, the third way that the government can essentially inject money, or at least a byproduct of it, is through the refinancing of debt, which I figured was very important considering the large deficit the U.S. runs. So as debt increases to pay off existing debt, the U.S. Treasury will refinance debt, so essentially issue more treasury bonds to essentially pay off the existing debt they have with new debt, because they don't have trillions of dollars lying around, so they must generate that money. So as the debt cycle picks up steam, there's going to be more and more of this debt refinancing, which puts more money into the money supply. So yeah, over time through this process, we have, Wieman level hyperinflation, like the German sort of stereotype of this hyperinflation, that is coming, and this is undeniable. And anyone who tells you different, they don't know what they're talking about. Your real wealth is only going to get more and more eroded. So I guess the solution to this, if there is a solution, would be to find a way to make more money, or to find a way to have returns that exceeds the market rate. And both of these are not easy solutions, because what you're asking is, okay, you need to be in the top percentile or you're not going to make it. And this is essentially the exact point that I'm trying to make here, is that unless the system changes, you need to be in the top percentile to make this work. Because you can't just achieve, say your parents had a little success, or your parents had a lot of success just working a job. You won't be in the same percentile as them if you follow their lead. So you will be permanently poorer. You will not be able to retire when your parents retire if this current system holds. It's ridiculous. You would be, if you worked a median college income, so I believe right now it's around $80,000, and you worked that and it increased, because wages do increase over time. They just fall behind inflation. So you work this job and you increase your wages at around the median. So the median is in the middle. This is where most of the people are, in the normal distribution. This is where most of the people lie. And you say, hey, you can't make more than that. This is what you make. And you work that until you were of retirement age. You would be millions short. You would be, I think, like 60% short of what you need to retire and live comfortably. So this is a major issue. So when people tell you, and this is a common thing, like, you'll be all right if you just work a job, and it's like, well, that's not true. That's not true at all, unless the system changes. And I think it's going to have to change. I do think it's going to have to change, because you will have revolts, because the whole point, this whole, notion of having a job, and the reason it's been so effective at selling to people, is that when you retire, or if you work long enough, you will be able to retire. But now it's like you give up your whole life to work this job, and you'll never be able to retire. So the retirement plan, the pension fund, all that nonsense, it doesn't mean anything, because you'll never be able to retire. You will be working to the grave, And this is a median college income, which is a lot more than most people make. So yeah, the next time someone tells you this, or, tells you some stuff, hey man, you really need to get a 401k. You need to, get a Roth IRA. I'm just going to need you to do one thing. Okay, do one thing for me. And this is crucial. This will help you in your character, and it will also help me, because I think I will feel at ease if you just do this one thing for me. So what you do is you're sitting there, and your teacher or whatever walks up to you, and they're just like, hey, make sure that when you're working a full-time job, you're gonna want to get a Roth IRA. Shut up. You're a moron. You don't know what you're talking about. Just because something's been true in the past doesn't mean it's true now. You don't know what you're talking about. Respectfully, you're a moron. Okay. That's going to be it for me, guys. Don't go around hitting your teachers. Don't go around hitting your parents or abusing them. It's difficult, because there is no solution. The only solution is to find a way to make more money or somehow outperform the market, which are impossible tasks. This means you need to perform better than your parents. You can't be sitting here relying on your parents, especially when, these Gen X or baby boomers, whatever, they sit there and they don't want to give their assets away. These people own like 40% or 30% of all the wealth in America, like baby boomers, people over 70. And they don't want to give their parents they don't want to give their children any of their wealth. They're like, yeah, I'm going to donate that. I'm going to not keep it in the family. And this is the number one thing that's going to ensure the destruction of your family, because I promise you, the richest people in the world don't think like that. The richest people in the world think, I'm going to build generational wealth. I'm going to build wealth for my kids, and this should be your mindset. If you're from a family and your familiar net worth is $1 million, you should want to be like, by the time I'm dead, maybe I get some money from my parents. I want to turn that into 10 million or 100 million. And the same thing if you have, your parents have $10,000 or no money. You should be like, I want to, by the time I'm dead or retired, I want to have 10,000 or a million or more. And the same thing goes if you're a billionaire, hey man, you should try to be a trillionaire. Like, there's always something more to do. And this idea of starting from nothing and building up is, to me, the number one thing that's going to keep, people poor. And I'm not saying that you should just get free handouts, but, you need to have a different strategy than what's worked in the past. It's the only way. So that's it from me. Check out my links in the description below.